Okay, welcome back. We are now entering into another example, if you will, of our demonstrations of Hex Command Ancients in particular. And the reason I say it that way is because, technically speaking, a lot of the rules, a lot of the procedures, process, and methodologies in Hex Command Ancients is also in Gunpowder, and for that matter is also in Hex Command Mechanized. And it's not a loose connection, except when it comes to Mechanized, of course, but it's actually quite, there's a lot of similarities. Not just, onesie, twosies. There's quite a few. Namely, the system of rolling the CNC die is one thing that's common between them all, but also the process of how the ups and downs, pluses and minuses are applied. And it's not, there's no genius level stuff involved. There's just simply a matter of +1 or -1. And incremental and, positive, negative. And that's how the modifiers work. And that's how they should work. They shouldn't be very complicated at all. There shouldn't be a lot of ifs, ands, or buts to something happening. Here we see a third cohort of Italian tribe moving into the scene. and I got to tell you, when units are involved in a melee, they lose their zone of control, and everybody knows this. What does zone of control mean? Zone of control means that technically you want to be able to restrict the actions around a unit if its zone of control is intact. In other words, the area around the unit that it controls. Usually this is the facing hexes. 1, 2, and 3 for this guy. But they're involved in a melee. They're occupied. And there's a gap here. Is that a real gap? Well, yeah. It's a gap between the two melees that are going on. And kind of a nightmare situation. We don't like to see that. We don't want to see that. These guys just got separated. And so here comes this little cohort, Italian tribal guys. Dum-da-dum-da-dum. Dum-da-dum. They're going to move in here. 1, 2, 3. And we're calling them medium infantry. I still think that this is wrong, and they should just be called light infantry. But, light infantry +1 for melee, I guess, because they have armor. They don't have prey melee, though. There's no pylum or anything. They just have spears. So they're going to come walking in here. Do they have to stop right there? Normally, if there was a zone of control, anything coming into the zone of control has to stop. No, not here. These guys are involved in a melee. There is no zone of control. All zone of control disappears when you're in melee. So what can these guys do? Well, they can just go right through this gap. They can go into this hex right here and fight this unit without any concern anywhere else. So it's going to be these two units versus that guy. Well, what's his condition? He looks like he has an incremental hit and a red hit. So things don't look good for that cohort at all. So if we were to roll the die, we would probably see. Well, why don't we just go ahead and do that? Let's roll for that new unit. It rolls a blue. As we know, that's an incremental hit. The compatriot next to him rolls. He rolls a red. The light infantry that was damaged with an incremental hit and a red hit is basically going to be at a 2, which goes to 1 because of that red hit. So it's got a value of 1, just out of curiosity. We didn't mention that at the beginning of the melee. And its opposition directly facing it is going to be a value of 2 or 3. looks like 3. It doesn't have a red hit on it. And so this guy's got a value of 3. So just out of curiosity, I mean, just for a statement-wise, that's how superior these guys are in value. So they're going to roll, and they roll a red. Well, that's good. So even though they're a value 1, they still got a red hit. But now we come into the damage. More than just their die roll. This guy's inferior by 2 on this one prior to that hit, and by 2 on this one. He's a 1, he's a 3, so that's 2. He's a 1, he's a 3, that's 2. So that's a total of 4 if you want to add them together. No, actually, you don't add them together. But if you were, for whatever reason, it'd be 4 to, 1. Anyway, so he better than 2 on this guy, better than 2 on that guy. So that adds another 2 incremental hits. So there's an incremental hit, and there's an incremental hit. That's another red hit. So take these 3 off, and exchange them for a red hit, and this guy's got 3 red hits. He's routing. So we'll take off his red hit. Oh, we forgot an incremental hit, didn't we? Okay, so we take these guys off. Here's the conclusion of the melee for that guy, anyway. And he goes back a total of 3. 1, 2, 3, routing. And we use yellow for that. I don't even know if you can see that still. Is he still in the frame? Yeah, in one camera he's still in the frame. On the other camera, he's not. So we'll just adjust it. You can barely see him back there. So then the advanced situation, roll for this guy, red to advance. He doesn't. Next guy next to him, red advances. So he advances 1. Does it matter the direction? We haven't decided. Just advance 1. So that's that. And then we do this melee right here. You know what? Just out of curiosity, let's go ahead and do that. Let's roll for the Carthaginians first. Blue, Romans, blue. Both roll blue, both get an incremental hit. These guys are nearly the same in damage, aren't they? They are identical. So that would be it for the turn right there. Does anybody get pushed back? No. They both suffered the same. Oh, he's superior by 2. He's superior by 1. He gets an additional incremental. So that graduates this to a red hit. So there we are. Now next turn, Carthaginians in our process, before the turn begins, say they win the initiative, that before anything else happens, the routed unit continues to route. So 1, 2, and 3, and it's almost going to be out of the battle. There's no officer here, so let's say, yeah, they're gone. So that leaves just this one unit right here to fight, which means even if they win initiative, there's nothing they can do unless there's a card that allows them to use a card and run away. These mounted skirmishers might be able to help by throwing their javelin at these guys, but when these guys get activated, he's just going to turn right around and flank this guy, and he's going to turn around and flank that guy too. So he's done. And you could say, well, that's the end of our little scenario. That's the end of our little example. I guess, yeah. That's it. Interesting.